And we are. Oh, we got to bring us up on screen. That's how we do it. Normally I let.
Holy shit, that was
normally
an
let
intro.
Keegs. That's good.
I'm hyped.
That's what we want. I'm just trying to figure out. Normally we have Chatty. What's up? Chatty's like, yeah, can't believe we just did that. Sean, you don't. Normally we're already on screen when the drop hits, and I forgot to put us on screen, so that's why he's saying "wow" in the chat.
Got it.
Chatty, I also don't know where the music is that is supposed to play right after the big drop, but the fact that Sean was still impressed, even though we didn't do it how we always do it, is good. Where is the music? I think that I might not have access to the music. I think it's got to come through Keegs. So if that's the case, we might just rock with no music today. That's fine. But Sean, how are you doing on the other side of Florida today?
Doing well.
Just getting
It's
the
hump
day
day,
going.
right? It's hump day. I saw that you just had the 100th goo ball ever created. So that's pretty lit, right? And then I know you're a dad now.
I am a dad now, and we did just mint the 100th goo ball. On that note, let me get his auction link here in the chat and just recirculate it. Um, People are going to be able to win this auction live. Have you seen any of the NFTopia stuff?
I have not.
Are you doing anything in Wax still?
No.
That'd be why.
I mean, we're still giving away like we had these leftover packs from the pack drop, and I've working with facings to grab all those and hand them out. A lot of the like OG wax stuff has become pretty nostalgic. You know sort of what I've been up to, or what we've been up to with Finney, and where we've taken that, and we've sort of, as we've sort
I like
of
my background today. I used this background intentionally today.
yeah, the OG shift background. That's awesome.
Right, Shift City.
But as we sort of grow the Finney brand, we've everything sort of points back to his beginning. New community that's been introduced to Finney on Bitcoin, that they learn of his story. I got to give a shout out to Fleensy always, because he's been like, he runs all the poker and different contests and does a good
Flimsy. We
job.
miss Flimsy.
Yeah, he does a really good job at introducing new people to the OG like Finney Wax stuff.
I was gonna say, is most of the Finney community now focused on ETH, or what
No,
types of?
they're on Bit. They've all come over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin or Finney Immutable Journey,
What were they? Well, I guess what were they doing before Bitcoin? Because Ordinals is kind of new. So where was the Finney community residing between Wax and Ordinals?
Yeah, they were. I mean, so it's sort of interesting as Finney's journeyed from chain to chain. You have people that sort of follow his journey. Then you have people that are more like maximalist of whatever chain he was on. So you have people that stay behind, people that follow his journey. Then you bring in new people. So, we went from EOS Wax to Ethereum. We brought on some new
I remember
community.
the ETH moment. There was the Terra moment. Chetty's calling it out right now. Terra seemed like it was kind of terrible though.
Well, that wasn't a Finney moment.
That was Crunks. Actually,
that
right?
was Krunks. Yeah, I mean, you sort of, you learn new lessons along the way. Like we would have done the stuff on ETH, even Finney on ETH, a lot differently. But what's cool because Finney on ETH was a 10,000 supply collection, which at the time, like, ETH collections were going off. It seemed like a good play, but we were probably a month too late. So, we turned off the mint after a while, and we just took all the Finnies that hadn't been minted and turned them into Finney claim codes, and we can hand out those codes, and people can mint still mint Finnies on ETH for the cost of the gas to mint. So you can get a Finny for like $4 if we give you a claim code, which has been kind of nice to have, because as we've sort of like now Finny's ordinal on Bitcoin, a lot of the people that sort of joined the ordinal craze, they were coming from ETH. They were the alpha dogs, the early adopters that saw potential in ordinals on Bitcoin. They jumped over and joined us over there. But when we're running contests and stuff, we still have all these Finnies on ETH, all these claim codes, and man, they love it, right? If they've fallen in love with Finny on Bitcoin, they want like the full body, Finny claim code that they can claim and get their ETH Finny. So, it's interesting to see. I think people, the majority of the people that have sort of followed Finny's journey, they're not very tribal. They're just, sort of into Finny's mission. So show me what's this?
This is our first ever ordinal. We have no idea what we're doing. We have no idea if we're going to continue to do this.
And is this a original design?
This is made by Chetty.
Awesome.
So what's up, Cesarone? I'm going to be in your neck of the woods in less than a month now. May 24th. We got to hang out in Cabo if you're down there. But yeah, so tell us about your ordinal journey, because I know you kind of predicted this. When I was at NFT NYC, it was very hard to find an ordinal conversation. It's all ETH.
Okay.
So it's so heavily ETH that we're not quite there yet, but even Gooballs will likely be making a jump over to Ethereum now that we've done 100 on Wax. Nothing is finalized yet, and we're still going to figure out a way to add value to those who want to keep their Gooball on Wax. Meaning, we might even allow people to do something where, hypothetically, you burn your Gooball on Wax, or you send it to us, we burn it, and then we'll send you your ETH Gooball. The challenge there is like, how do you handle mint numbers and stuff like that? But anyways, that's what we're looking at right now. And one of the main reasons being, NFT NYC, unless I'm missing it, probably the biggest NFT conference, at least in America, every year. And there was zero to no Wax representation. I shouldn't say none, because I met some Wax people there.
Yeah.
Ordinals was quiet. I talked to some people about it. People like the idea. It seems like they're just not sold on the adoption yet. And then Ethereum is like, that's just the language that everyone already speaks. So give me your thoughts there.
So
what you guys are working on.
So basically the way we ended up on ordinals, we sort of, our dev Nathan back in the day had told us that he had figured out a way to put NFTs on Bitcoin, and there's like, second layer chains like Stacks and stuff that put NFTs on Bitcoin, but they're really putting it on like layer 2 Bitcoin. It's not actually, the hash is on Bitcoin, but the actual data isn't on Bitcoin. But he had told us he had figured out a way to actually do it. So we were kind of aware that it was possible a few months back. And we were aware to the point that we had John Trafford do a Finny PFP collection. And he had started doing the Finny PFP collection. Nathan was building a marketplace, an NFT marketplace on Bitcoin that eventually fizzled out. And we were left with these Finny PFPs. And we're like, well, what do we do with them? Do we reward our ETH Finny holders? Like, we weren't sure what to do with them. We also, around that time, did like a revamped version of Finny's Immutable Journey. If you remember, it was launched on Wax as a pack drop. It was like 40 something pages. Like one side of the card would be the comic artwork, and then you'd have 2 more cards of like the actual story. And we had put that in a hardcover, and it was like 40 something pages. We wanted to sort of revamp it into a storyboard style comic, like your traditional comic book, but a digital version. So we had our artists sort of revamp everything. and we had that storyboard style comic, and that was we just weren't sure how to position it. Like we had these things, like do we put them on ETH? Like things had slowed down in the crypto NFT space at that time, so we just put it on the shelf. All of a sudden, Kenny messages me like months later. This is more recently, and he's like, "Hey, NFTs on Bitcoin are taking off. They're called ordinals." He starts sending me these tweets, and we're like, "Oh shit!" Like we can be early. And for those of you who don't know what ordinals are, like NFTs on Ethereum sort of live within this black box of the contract, of like the NFT contract. And more often than not, like whoever holds the keys to that contract can move and sort of change things around. People don't realize, but with ETH NFTs, like one day you could have a Finny on ETH, and the next day that Finny could turn into a goo ball. And we have that kind of control over the contract.
You can do that with ordinals?
Well, I'll get to that. Also, with ETH NFTs, right? The image is stored on IPFS, right? It's not actually, well, it could be, but it's typically not stored on actual Ethereum chain. So ordinals on Bitcoin are different than NFTs in the sense that they are immutable artifacts. They are, all the data is stored on chain. You'll see a lot of like pixel art and stuff on Bitcoin because one Bitcoin block only holds like 4 megabytes of data, so you can only cram so much in there with the transactions, whatnot. So you have to sort of dumb down these images or use less detailed images. You can put detailed images and mint them as ordinals, but it will come at a cost, which is sort of good and bad. But you start going down this rabbit hole and you realize that if you want your NFTs or your data to live forever, outlive yourself, and probably outlive, I don't know.
I don't know. It'll live as long until there's another world cataclysm or something.
It'll live as long as Bitcoin lives once you inscribe your ordinal. Okay. So you
actually, so two things. One, before I forget, we got to smile and take a picture for happy birthday.
All right. Tell me when to smile.
I want to get Huygen on here. Tell me when to smile, because it's a rare occurrence. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. I'm blocking my goo ball.
Do I need to hold a finger up?
You can go like this. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that'll be an NFT that I'm going to use Bounty Block. Have you ever used Bounty Block before?
Yeah. And they've gotten into the ordinal space. Their contest tool is awesome. Yeah.
We use it. Yeah, that actually. Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, the tough thing with ordinals is I don't know for our project if I'm going to be able to get Chetty and Keegs fully on board, especially after we were at NFT NYC. We just saw firsthand. It seems like the mass adoption, if that's what we're looking for, is really in Ethereum. But I do feel like we need to do something on ordinals. Maybe not goo balls, but just like you said, it's a historical moment, so you might as well just do something. Is kind of how I feel about it.
You absolutely have to. I have never. This is about as sure as like. It's like when I first got into Bitcoin, and you're like, this thing is here to stay. It's the exact same feeling. And the adoption curve, it takes a little time for the tools to be built that make it easier to on-ramp people, but we're only like a couple months into this thing and it's already taken off. And now BRC20 tokens, which are like inscribed tokens, are now becoming a thing on ordinals, and that volume starting to go up. And now it's like all my buddies who are super tapped in, now they're all coming to me in wanting to learn. But you have to view ordinals are not NFTs. Like NFTs are sort of these programmable tokens, and maybe ordinals get to that point, but you have to view them more, like immutable artifacts. Like back in the day when you wanted to etch something in history, you like went to the side of the mountain and got your little hammer and your rock or whatever, and you like etched it on the rock, right? So that future generations could find it. It's the same thing with ordinals, except these are digital, like digital artifacts. Okay. Whereas NFTs on Ethereum are a bit more, they're most of them are mutable, right? If IPFS goes down, those images disappear. It's just a different thing. And then you have this element, you have these layers of the fact that every ordinal inscription is numbered in subsequent order, right? So you start with 1 and we're up to like, oh God, we're over 1 million now. And it'll keep going up. So you have sort of rarity, like the wax people will kind of like that because they value like mint number and things like that. Finney was inscribed between like 10,000 and 70,000, all our inscriptions. And now we're well over 1 million, right? So Finney was very early. It was the first comic book inscribed on Bitcoin. So that has significance. But then there's this Satoshi layer. When you inscribe an ordinal, you are inscribing it on a single Satoshi, right? A single unit of Bitcoin. And you might be inscribing it on a Satoshi from, one of the very first Bitcoin blocks ever produced, where Hal Finney was sending, whatever to Satoshi, right? Like, so there's like Satoshi rarity. So there's like all these, you have like the ordinal number, you have Satoshi rarity. So there's Satoshi hunters looking for like rare Satoshi. There's a bunch of different layers, but it's so different than NFTs. And we've seen with NFTs how marketplaces like Blur, these zero royalty marketplaces, like they've sort of taken some of the culture away from what made NFTs cool in terms of like they've diluted it to the point where it's just traded like a shit coin. Where I'm not saying that won't happen on ordinals, but at least at this current moment, like it's a different vibe, right?
Oh, hey, did you see did you hear Chetty's request there earlier?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Chetty wants to know I don't want you to feel like you have to pitch it either, but you've got my artist's attention, right? So where is our audience if we shift to ordinals instead of ETH? Do you think, like, for example, is NFT NYC next year? Is there going to be a much larger ordinal population?
Well, I know there's so Gamma, that wallet that you minted or were showing me that ordinal earlier, they threw for NFT New York, they threw it looked like a good party. It looked like a legit party with I think Xverse, another wallet that I use. And there's like
I use Xverse because you recommended it.
Yeah, NFT Miami, there's a big sort of, they're throwing another big sort of ordinal whatever conference. It's a it's a small but growing community. I'd say it's not like, I don't know how to put this. Like if NFTs are like your little brother and his broskies, like ordinals are like the men, like it's a different audience right now. What you're doing with
We
goo
need to see your
balls.
chest hair right now.
Yeah. What you're doing with goo balls on wax, like something like that has never been done. Ordinals, most ordinal collections are like 100. They're very small supply. It's not like these big 10,000
Right.
supply. That's
That is
why when
actually,
we
I remember you
talk,
saying that to me when we spoke about it before, and that is, I'm happy you bring it back up. I guess on that note, just some more clarity around it. Ordinal projects maybe are smaller. So could you?
well, here's another example. So DeGods, right? Which huge NFT project, one of the more successful uh, NFT projects ever, right? They had like 500 something unminted DeGods. I think they came from Solana, and they went and minted them as ordinals and had a big sale and did well. Yuga, the company behind Bored Ape Yacht Club, they did like a generative art project and sale, or well, auction on ordinals. And I thought it was sort of weak sauce. Like, I didn't think it was that good, but I think they felt like they had to plant a flag early, right? It's sort of like a hedge. Like if everyone eventually moves over to ordinals and you haven't planted your flag yet, I don't know. But now we see Binance. Rumor is that Binance is building ordinal marketplace now. You're starting to see bigger and bigger names come in there. CZ Binance mentioned it as something he was excited about. Everything pretty much happens on Discord. Like I think the whole ordinal community is over on Discord.
Yeah, we're finally, we've stuck to the Telegram for as far as goo balls for a year now, and that was our other big takeaway from the conference is like we just got to open up the Discord channel for goo balls. Like we weren't doing it enough. So
yeah.
Um,
So here,
go ahead.
I think I can I share screen? Yeah.
Oh yeah. You should be able to.
Okay, so I think you have to remove your, and there we go. So here's ordinal inscriptions over time. Okay, just this past week we had the all-time high number of inscriptions minted, and it shattered the previous record. I think right here was right around where ordinals hit the 1 million mark, 1 million inscription mark. Yeah, there's places for auctions on ordinals. Magic Eden, the big Solana marketplace, they just launched. Well, also they do Ethereum here. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, let's check it
I'd
out.
say volume, like sale volume, is pretty low, but I think that pretty much that's NFT
really be concerned
general
about
right
volume
now.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pull this up.
What's the reason when the ordinal that we made, like, do you know how to professionally set up a collection? Because I know you can just create one and it puts it in just like a pool of inscriptions, but then you can do like BTC DeGods, like that's an organized collection.
So yeah, so basically the way it works is you right now, and there's this concept, these parent collections, that I'm not sure if you can do it yet, but I know they're working on it.
I just remembered this too, Chetty and Sean. It's in your backyard. Bitcoin week is in like 2 or 3 weeks, so this will probably pop off again after the Bitcoin conference. I'm just not thinking about that.
Yeah, so you, as of now, the way it works, so you mint your inscriptions, or you inscribe your ordinals, and then you reach out to the marketplace and you provide them with the inscription numbers, and then you fill out your little form, and it sets up a page like this. So if we go to,
So do you guys have one? Does Finney have one?
Yeah, of course, I'll pull it up in a second.
Okay.
So here Bitcoin DeGods, and you see the floors about
so Bitcoin DeGods. just so I'm getting this right, all of these could have been created the same way we made the one that I just showed you. It's just they're sending that info to the marketplace, and the marketplace will
Right.
organize it.
Remember, the inscription number's unique. Like there's no two of the same inscription numbers, so you just provide them with the inscription number, the token IDs, and they just add it. Can we inscribe 100? No. There might be a way that you can like, I don't know. There might be a way you can somehow snag the Satoshis and like no, but that inscription number, I don't know. That's a good question. There's something I've heard, but I can't. I'm not qualified to answer it.
I'm happy to hear that getting an organized collection. And correct me tell me if I'm getting this right. Say Potato Bug Johnson right here. I go on Gamma, I mint him.
Yeah.
He's an inscription. And then to get it organized into a Goo Balls collection, all we have to do is basically set up an account with Magic Eden, give them the reference numbers, and then Magic Eden will organize our collection for us.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. That's a lot more simple than I thought.
There's
Chetty, that's probably more simple than ETH.
So here, Finnies on Magic Eden. There's other marketplaces too. There's a bunch of different marketplaces you can use. I think Gamma. Gamma allows for.
There's probably some marketplaces that Finny would not be on because you and Kenny haven't like reached out to him yet. Is that right?
No, I think we're on all the.
Well,
we were so early. Like we were so early. I mean, think about that. Finny, the first one was minted at 10,000 inscriptions. The comic book was minted around like 24,000. You know, we were super early. So there's only like 2 marketplaces out at the beginning, and then more and more kept coming out. We just keep adding. I think now we're sort of at a point where the
well, if you were to make a new Finny right now, after you inscribe it, do you send that information? Who do you send that information to?
Yeah, so exactly to the marketplace. So like
that means you would have to send it to multiple then, right? Or are you just sending it to one place now?
No, you'd send it to multiple, but they have. I think there's a marketplace that's like aggregator and a pull from everywhere.
Okay. Cool.
But the question is, I'm not sure you really need to be on every marketplace. If you're a small collection and your community knows where you are, sure, I guess you're getting some sort of you're reaching a few more people if you're on multiple marketplaces. But if it's really like sort of a I don't know how much that's going to grow your community being listed on.
I just realized, do ordinals have mint numbers?
Well, they have inscription numbers.
They have inscription numbers, right? They don't have like mint 1, mint 2.
No.
That's pretty cool. I like that actually. Because then Chetty, then we can open the door. If somebody wants to have an ordinal Goo Ball, then it would potentially be as simple as them transferring the Goo Ball to us burning it, and then inscribing it and sending it to their inscription wallet, which is another thing that we talked about. And then that erases the confusion of, oh, well, I had mint 1 or I had mint 2 or whatever. It's, completely random on the Bitcoin network.
So you see here, Finny's immutable artifacts, Finny comic. So Finny is the PFPs, like the profile pictures. The immutable artifacts I guess it says it right here. They're Finny's immutable artifacts are one-of-one collector's items inscribed on Bitcoin and deeply woven into Finny lore. These significant pieces not only symbolize the past and the present of the android's extraordinary adventure, but hold the key to Finny's issue 1 comic. So basically what we're doing is if you have a Finny PFP, we basically raffle these things off or do holder only contests to get the immutable artifact.
And you're doing this with Bounty Block.
Yeah, we're using their tool, and they're adding a feature to the tool that allows, and this is their contest tool. It'll allow an entry per Finny PFP held or per NFT held. So if you have a goo ball holder that holds 10 goo balls and everyone else holds one, that goo ball holder that has 10 will get 10 entries into the contest, and everyone else will get one entry, because you want to reward your bigger holders. So basically, if you win one of these immutable artifacts, which I think look pretty dope, pretty sort of old school retro gamer.
Do the collections track the order it was created?
Well, you have the inscription numbers here.
Okay.
Again, the inscription number is like
Can you drop that link that you've got there in the? Actually, you might have to put it in the private chat, but then I'll put it in the main one.
Yeah. So if you hold a Finny, you win one of these, and then if you win one of these, you get one of these. And this is the thing we're sort of most proud of doing for Finny, and that's inscribing as his comic as the very first comic ever inscribed on Bitcoin. And we had to manually go through all like 24,000 inscriptions before this to make sure we were actually the first comic. So there it is. Like, you see the inscription number. I'm sure you can order by an inscription. So if you get one of those immutable artifacts, they symbolize one of the pages in this comic, and then we give you that page so you can own a piece of Finny and Bitcoin history. But it's come a long way. Like, you see all this stuff in the tools that have been developed, in the wallets, and all those, like, this is like a matter of a couple months, right? This is, for crypto, this is like extremely fast development. And I think it's sort of like you have this initial sort of little wave of like the early adopters, and then things calm down a little bit. We saw this in Terra too. And then you have people working really hard to build the tools and all the cool little features, and then that gets released, and that opens a door for the next wave of people to flood in. And what I think is going to happen is that we're about a year away from the next Bitcoin halving, and we're going to get another Bitcoin bull run. It's going to be unlike anything we've ever seen in Bitcoin history. And this whole ordinal thing is all sort of lining up with that, with the next bull run. And I think when the money really starts flowing into crypto and into Bitcoin, it's going to go to ordinals. This is, it's an interesting time, right? You sort of have fundamentally changed Bitcoin, where Bitcoin was always, global censorship resistant money for a long time, and that's sort of all it was. Now all of a sudden things are changing, and the Taproot upgrade that allowed for ordinals and a more efficient way to store data and do all these things, right? First it's like ordinals like NFTs, and now we see the BRC20 tokens that someone just came out of nowhere, and now there's marketplaces for these ordinal or inscribed tokens that are blowing up. I think the total market cap of the BRC20s is like 30 million now, but that's starting to go through the roof. I mean, think about this. If you want to launch a token on Bitcoin, you don't need a smart contract. It's really cool too how you can distribute BRC20s, like Meme, which is one of the first tokens launched. Basically, they set their supply 100,000, and it was up to to people to inscribe those tokens to get the token. So you had to pay like $2 per token. You had to inscribe the token, and it was like one, you could only do one at a time. It was super fair distribution, and all those 100,000 tokens end up minting out. And it's not like one person could just come in and buy up a shitload at one time. No, they had to individually inscribe these things. But that's a whole nother thing that's sort of taken off. So now first you have Ordinal's NFT sort of thing. Now you have these BRC20 tokens coming into the equation. And because Taproot allows for like smart contracts on Bitcoin, you're going to have this big DeFi wave at some point. It might be a couple years away, but that's sort of like the next thing. All of a sudden you're doing NFTs and DeFi on Bitcoin. Like this is something we couldn't imagine 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well, I like Chet. I think you were able to get Chetty to wrap his mind around it, which is good.
I see. I've always thought it was a pretty good fit for doing something with Goo Balls, because it's a low supply. It's like a personalized collection. It's something
want to make sure. The main thing is, we just want to make sure that it's functioning right. It's not scattered. Like as an example, the first 100 Goo Balls, they're all under Shift Collabs. If you're an OG in the space, whatever, you get it. But if you're brand new to Goo Balls, it can just be hard to even find us,
Right.
So yeah, making it front page friendly, I think is probably would be our biggest goal or concern.
Yeah.
So what are you looking at here? These are what are these?
This is the BRC20 token. These are the inscribed tokens now. These are basically Ordinals as tokens.
Okay, so people are making their own tokens on or through Ordinals.
Yeah, and you see, BRC20 is kind of like,
are they organizing it
the stand?
Are they organizing it by they get the inscription number and they send it to a marketplace, or how is it getting organized?
Yeah, so unlike a token on Ethereum, these are not divisible, meaning that if you have a 21 million supply, there are you can't have so this Ordi token. If you hold one Ordi token, you cannot send me 0.01 Ordi token. Like one Ordi token is one Ordi token, and you see it says like, let me open this up a little more.
So this is like if Goo Balls if we wanted to create our own token.
It said limit per mint. So when you're minting, you're actually inscribing these tokens. So for Ordi, 21 million, and people could inscribe 1,000 of these tokens at a time. With Meme, we are MetaCollect. We are the largest Meme token holder. Outside of the Burn wallet, we're the largest wallet. I think we hold about 2,100 of these Meme tokens. And look, limit per mint, 1. So we had to, and there's ways you can scale this out, but basically it's a super, super fair distribution that someone can't just come in and scoop up 20% of the supply, right? You actually have to pay $2 or whatever and inscribe each one. And everyone has a fair chance of doing it. Like, I mean, maybe it could be botted, but I don't know. I think it'd be harder, at least at this point. And right now, Meme's worth $42. So they have a marketplace, but it's more like we'll see what it looks like. We'll go to Meme. It's almost like they're like sort of over the counter trading at this point. But that being said, I recently saw a tweet from Fred Krueger, who was an old like EOS OG, a smart dude, sort of went off and did his own thing. And he's he wrote this little thing sort of explaining the potential BRC20 tokens. And Kenny asked him, like, will they be able to pull these tokens onto a centralized exchange? And he basically said, sure, like it's pretty easy. So I wouldn't be surprised if 6 months from now, maybe even sooner, you will find this meme BRC20 token on an exchange like Binance. And when that happens, this is what I mean. Like, we're in this period where all the plumbing's being laid, and you're going to reach a point where, you know, the faucet is going to get open really wide, and that's going to coincide with this next Bitcoin bull run. Do I sound like a fucking ordinal shill or what?
I think that well, I don't know. To me, it seems if it's built on Bitcoin, then there's no reason that the adoption process shouldn't play out basically the same way that Bitcoin did. Like, Bitcoin was, you know, a thing since what, I don't know, 2000, technically 2008 or something like that. But I guess by 2011, 2012, there was people, you know, millions of Bitcoin here and there, whatever. And then I don't know how many Bitcoin have been mined now out of this total supply.
I don't know what we're up to. Most of them, right?
It's the majority have, but even though
Yeah.
the majority have, still the percentage that's left is such a coveted percentage
Well,
around the world.
with every halving, it's less and less being distributed, or
Right.
I
So
mean,
I
it
don't
is
know. I just feel like
inflation to a sense.
ordinals would follow a
Well,
similar trajectory.
the whole thing with Bitcoin, the idea is that some point you reach a at some time you reach a point where all the Bitcoin is mined, and there's no block reward for the miners. So how do they keep the network secure? How do they make money to run their operations? And the idea is that that's through transaction fees, right? So as less and less Bitcoins being produced, you get more and more velocity, adoption, and Bitcoin being moved around. The miners make money off those transactions. But the process of Bitcoin being adopted for, you know, like peer-to-peer payment isn't really happening as fast as people have hoped, right? So the money the miners are making off transaction fees isn't that much. You need a shitload of transactions for the miners to stay afloat. Well, now you've entered this thing, these inscriptions, where every block is now fuller than it's ever been, with data, and that data comes at a cost that gets paid to miners, right? So you have all these, you know, 21 million BRC20 ORDI tokens or whatever being inscribed. Well, there's fees on all that, you know, on all those inscriptions that are going back to the miner. So in a way, some would say that ordinals and things like inscriptions make Bitcoin more secure, because you're starting to see with each block more these transaction fees going back to the miners, right? As less and less Bitcoin gets distributed every 4 years.
I gotta share this. This is 2 years ago.
Man, I've aged. You look the same.
I
You
feel
look
like I look.
younger. You
I'll
look
say, yeah, I
younger.
got I got younger.
You got a that daddy soul glow.
Yeah, yeah, it's the shave for sure.
What kind of lotion are you using now?
I'm trying to think if I was using the same camera back then. I feel like I actually was. I think I just got that. I
Oh,
took
I
it.
was back in my kid's room. It was a guest room at the time, and now I'm out here in the shed.
Look at these names. I saw Halal Asanya in there. I know I've seen Joe in there.
He's got a Halal Asanya is always around. He's got himself a ordinal PFP.
Yeah. Um, and then I was just scrolling through some other ones here. Uh, this was when me and Shanika did we did a 9-hour stream.
That's a Galarraga down there,
That's Ordonez.
or Ordonez, yeah.
Nadir,
Who's
who he actually just did photo. This guy just did the photo and video for GooCon. It looks like he's in a cardboard box in this one. But I just remember when we did this, people were like, I went to sleep and you guys were streaming, and I woke up and you're still going. Oh, and that's how we got flagged. Actually, I'm gonna Four Locos.
I remember
Blackbeard Bully. He didn't want to admit it, but the video got flagged because we were streaming whatever his thing is, Bad Days, in the background.
I remember this stream because I remember like driving somewhere in the morning and you guys were like still on. I remember going to bed. I went to bed and you guys were
I
on.
think you were probably the one who said it. It's like, I went to sleep, you guys were on. Yeah, you were still on.
And then I woke up like 8 hours later and you were still going.
That's wild.
That is wild. You've come a long way, Adam. This is your 2-year anniversary, right?
2 years. And I was thinking about when the stream, like for example, the stream was starting. We've got like the Goo Balls intro. We got our own project. We've got a 100-hour collection. We got all these things. And it just started with shout out to Jill, right? Jillian Godsell with the connection.
Oh yeah.
I just reached out to her. Rad Crypto guy says, "What's up?"
Oh, Rad Crypto guy in the house. He's got himself a Finny PFP or two. Rad Crypto guy's an OG, man. That's one that he followed us around. I think he's just happy we're still like doing shit, right? You have a lot of projects that you're into and then they just fall off the face of the earth.
Man, I'm looking at all these names. Do you see a lot of these? I see Yu Hung Ye Chai, Dub Wizard. There's another person in there. Cell Wraith. There's all these names I used to see. I don't know where they're at anymore.
Well,
Yoli. I know he's around. Morton Matt. Who else?
Oh wow, Morton Matt D.
Victor Novino. I remember the shift, that eyeball art. That was good.
You're burning. Look at that. You're burning a coin.
We don't have actually, I think we can upload clips here on this one. We always do this one for Chetty. Normally we have music though on Melon, but I don't think I have it uploaded on my thing here. Man, but
those were the days, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is and I'm sure you've noticed it too. I mean, dude, we used to have like 50 people every time we would go live.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where, like, how that works. But it could have just been like the vibe of.
I'll tell you why. Crypto? I'll tell you exactly why.
Crypto is not cool right now, or what?
No, because back then Finny coins were worth like $80. So they knew you were giving away a Finny coin and they were there.
Well, that
could have had something to do with it, because I knew when Jimmy and I would stream, I'd be pumping those coins out. They'd be worth like $150. Everyone knew they had a chance at $150. So they'd tune in, right? You had to incentivize them. But I mean, across the board, it's these like communal
I don't know if you saw, I just looked. Finny coins are still going for 120 right now on Wax.
No,
they are. Go look. I was just looking at it.
There's not many. I don't think there's many left on Wax.
Exactly.
Finny's always been pretty special. It's pretty cool project. It was pretty unique. I feel like we were doing cool stuff too with in our Telegram. It was funny. We ran it all out of Telegram. We were trying to do new things, and you had the Crypto Writer membership card and those art drops that I thought were fucking quality. It was just pretty unique. No one else was really doing a lot of the things we were doing in the wax. It will definitely not in the EOS space.
Oh, did I get that wrong, Flinzy? It's 120 wax. I thought I saw 120
Yeah,
US.
yeah, no.
My bad.
They hold the Finny coins have held their value better than most
You know
NFTs
what I
on
saw?
wax.
Somebody has one listed for 128, but the rest are, yeah. I got it price lowest. Yeah, 130 wax. Yeah. Well, how many Finny coins do you think are left in existence? You can see normally how many have been burned. So 5,000 minus 3,000, 3,366. So there's about 1,600 Finny coins left in
I
existence.
wonder where they all are. We got screwed early on. Like we distributed those coins to people we thought would. We didn't know. Like what was that fat? Who's the fat ginger guy?
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
What's his name? Bozak. And then it's one thing, like we gave them the like crypto stash and stuff, and they did a good job, like crypto stash, whether he burned them or not, like we throw him like 20 whatever. He went out there and he like shilled Finny, which was good. And then there's other people like Bozak who like we're like, okay, these 10 are for you. Here's another 100 whatever to give to your community. And then we check back like months later and you'd watch it, right? Because blockchain don't lie. Blockchain don't lie. You'd watch those coins go to like this chick over here, and then she'd be flipping them, and you'd be like, what the fuck, bro? But I know too with like M Blue and like one of his assistants they had to fire. There was this whole like we gave M Blue a bunch of coins, right? That he was supposed to distribute to his community. And instead he passed the buck to like one of his little assistants to do it. And that chick was burning them, like getting these rare finnies, flipping them, doing all this stuff. Blockchain don't lie. Like we could see it. I remember Kenny because we were like, what? Like, I think we've discovered this one, but we're like looking at his account and we're like, where are all these coins? Like he hasn't given them away. And you start following, and then you see they're moved to this wallet, then to this wallet, and then they all end up with this wallet. And this wallet over here is burning them all, upgrading them all, getting these rare finnies, flipping them. Blockchain don't fucking lie. We figured it out. It took, I remember Kenny was like up like 3 hours later than he should have, all night, just like trying to piece this together. I must say though, M Blue was cool about it when we told him, like when we had the evidence, and we're like, look, like, hate to tell you this, like we know it probably wasn't you doing this because you've already got plenty of money. You don't need to be flipping these things, but this is what happened. And he made it right. He made it right. But still, there were some rare finnies that should have gone to the community, right? Some coins that had rare finnies behind them, and they never made it.
Yeah. Blockchain definitely don't lie, which is one of the best things about it.
Anyone ever pull any scandalous shit on Goo Balls?
I think
you have.
That's a good question.
Or have you ever had a experience in the last couple years where just some shady shit, you discovered some shady shit? Usually it's someone in the community figures it out and they let you know.
I think the only weird thing that we've seen is and this is just the way their project is set up, but Wombat Dungeon is like the largest holder of Goo Balls because like you stake with them or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would call it shady, but it is a little bit annoying when we're trying to like distribute or like give certain people a shout out and we have no idea who actually owns the Goo Ball besides Wombat.
Yeah.
And like Chetty said, ours is such a slow drip. The quality control is pretty high, just because everything that we ever do basically happens like this. Like it all happens live.
Right.
So if something weird happens,
It's like a manual process too, and you sort of know who's.
It's so manual, yeah. But I'm sure at some point we'll have to deal with something. But dang, what was I gonna say? Music. So Chetty, this is what I'm thinking too with the General Moses music stuff. Is we do like 3 different levels. Like there's the people who have goo balls get like the whatever legendary 3 different categories. We'll just call it bronze, silver, gold. So if you have a goo ball, you get the gold single, something for the second one. And then I'm thinking for the third one, because I'm looking here, there's 1,600 Finny coins still in existence. And we would like to get my music in front of more ears and eyes. That could be a good idea, is like distribute like the bronze ones to anyone who still has like a Finny coin or something like that. Basically, I think I've been doing the music production stuff. I've got 3 songs in the pipeline. One's ready. Another one is getting sent into Toolroom Records. And basically any of my tracks that Toolroom doesn't sign, which so far out of 2, they haven't signed any, I'm just going to self-release them under Gooball Records. And Chetty's got some like really good. In fact, I'll show you here real quick.
When are we going to hear one of these?
We could probably sneak peek it right now.
Is it electronic music?
Yeah. Look at this. I got electronic. I just got to find my DMs with Chetty.
I think Fleensy's hoarding goo balls. I mean, Finny coins. He might be hoarding goo balls too.
Fleensy does have at least 1 goo ball. Let's see here. You're not gonna be able to hear that. Let me do this.
Have you done a Pepe goo ball yet?
We haven't. We got to throw a Pepe theme in there. Actually, that's a good idea. That would probably do very well. All right. I don't know. So I might have to mute my mic for this to work, but we can do a little sneak peek. So this is art by the legendary Chetty. So this would basically be an NFT.
There you go. What software are you using?
I will divert to our artist, because I was basically like, dude, can you make something like this? And then Chetty worked his magic.
No, I mean for the music.
Oh, I'm using Ableton.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, we would turn that into an NFT. We're gonna add a little bit more art to it. I think having a legendary, just 3 levels of rarity. And then once we get a model that works for my music, I don't see why we can't really help other artists release their music in NFT form as well. It would start on Wax, but obviously it would be something we want to just continue to scale. More money to make, more fun to have, and I just want to get my music in front of more people. And I feel like that's a way that could also differentiate me from a lot of other. I don't know anyone else under Toolroom's label that's doing NFTs.
It's part of the problem with the music, like music NFTs, is there's no. You got to have like some sort of platform or just like curator.
Oh, you're talking about like a Spotify, basically. Yeah, I mean,
no, not even that. But like, where do you go explore music NFTs, right? There's like little pockets on different chains where people have done their music thing, NFT'd it, but there's no real curation. Like, is there some sort of music blog that just like features different music NFTs? Like, not that I've
Maybe.
seen.
Yeah. That
The
wouldn't
the
be I mean, I hear what you're saying. My main focus, I think, as a producer would still be getting plays on Spotify and Beatport, but this just happens to be a way to
What do you
release
see as like so you just see the NFTs as a way to broaden your reach?
more like a promotion. It's a gimmick, basically. Broaden the reach. And then over time, given a scenario where I become a pretty prominent producer and DJ, it's like the people who it's like, you got one of Kanye's first singles, in an NFT, that type of thing.
The so before crypto, for me, it was electronic music, the freshbeat.com, which
Right.
was pretty successful electronic music curation blog site community. And what we did different, we probably talked about this, but you had a lot of blogs out there, and they would post like SoundCloud like previews to the track, or they'd like post little snippets. You'd create a post, you'd write a little introduction, you'd like spend the last hour filtering through a bunch of tracks, you'd pick some good ones, you'd sort of write something about each track, and that would be your post. And while the other sites were doing just like little like previews where you could just preview the track or listen to the track, we were like finding a download of the track. We were like changing out all the metadata, like all the tags to like line up with the fresh beat, put our own album art on there, like our fresh beat logo, re-uploading them to Zippy Share. And these were like the full 320 quality MP3s. And then people could they could just go to our site and download all the tracks. Well, the thinking is we were stealing other people's music, which is definitely the case. But what happened was in the electronic music world, especially at that time, there were like 150 new tracks every single day, maybe more, but like every day new tracks were being pumped out. And if you're the producer and you're trying to get recognized, what's more important to you, that you protect your music from people downloading it, or that
Right.
like you get the reach, people download the music and then their DJs, then they go play that track out there and someone looks behind the booth and they're like, what track is that? And so what was happening was the DJs, like the tracks we were posting, were getting the free download. Those producers were getting so much more engagement and growing their audience than when they were putting their little SoundCloud. Like we'd also mix in, we'd have like a weekly SoundCloud post of all the SoundCloud previews. We used to tell the DJs to turn the download thing on and let people download it, because that's how it gets shared. But they would come back to us and they would say, hey, whenever you guys post my SoundCloud thing, I get way more engagement. And that's because we had such a big community that was there for the free shit. Just like 50 people used to watch a stream when you had those free Finny coins, right? That were worth $50. Well, people were coming to our blog to get the high quality download of the track. And then when we introduce new DJs and stuff, they'd get way more followers, way more engagement. So
Yeah.
I think for an aspiring DJ producer, it's all about the reach more than anything. It's like,
And that's the thing. You're right. Like I'm definitely not in it for the money. Thankfully, got other things going on in my life that comparatively, unless I'm like Tiesto, then it would maybe make sense. But for whatever reason, I mean, you've seen it. I feel like just the world of music, DJs, they don't get paid that much, right?
well,
Like,
they get paid they
Unless
don't
you're the
get
top
paid.
1%.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't get for a commercial like producer. Sure, they get paid, they get royalties and stuff, but you can make a really fucking good living being an underground techno DJ that's getting booked all over, traveling from city to city, show to show, festival to festival, making 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 a night, having everything comped and just like bouncing around. That's not a bad life. And in the percent that you're making off your actual like track sales are like this, unless
Right.
it's getting
It's all about the
licensed
gigs.
for
It's about the
for a
gigs.
commercial or something like that. Yeah, it's all about
But
the gigs.
I guess that's what I'm saying too, though, is the gigs gotta make sense. I don't mean to sound bougie, but like even a $7,000 gig really got for would have to make sense just with the family and stuff. So
What?
uh,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's I get my inspiration from Shaq on that one. Shaq talks about how he actually loses money when he DJs based on how profitable his time is, but he does it for the rush. It's the
yeah, it's
closest thing he
awesome.
can. It's the closest thing he can find to performing in front of thousands of people. And so for me, I can't go ahead and brag and say that I would lose money if I
I
DJ. But
had I had a 5 or 6 year run where I was doing, well, maybe not for entire 6 years, but I was doing about a gig a week. Nothing, not big. I wasn't producing tracks, but I was
Blackbird Ordinary.
well, yeah. I have played like similar type places to that.
Yeah.
But what I realized was like I wouldn't go on till like 11:30. You get off at like 3, then you get pulled into some other nonsense, right? Because Miami doesn't sleep. And then, I'd be trying to get home before the sun came up because I hated if the sun came up, I had a tough time sleeping. But then you have kids and that it's fun, but then you start like this thing happens where when you're going out a lot, you start seeing like these same people, and they're sort of like aging before your eyes, because when you're partying you age a lot quicker, and like you start like looking around and it just gets kind of sad, you know if you're like a
Yeah.
full-time if you're a full-time like club goer, like,
Yeah.
and and then you've been doing it for this many years and you're like still doing it, and we have the social climbers or whatever, the hot chicas in Miami that like they go to clubs for a living, right? Because that's where they find their sugar daddy who pays their rent, et cetera, et cetera. But the shelf life of that only lasts so long before, like, you know
Yeah.
you're not looking as hot as you used to, and you're just like worn down because you've been staying up late every night and drinking and partying and like, then oh shit, like what
Yeah.
next?
There's gotta be a balance.
Yeah.
So
But
so
if you're part time, like, I think that's the way to do it,
I
right?
think
You got your
getting
other
to a point
things going
doing
on.
one gig a month, and maybe I'm bragging a little bit. 7K on a Saturday, that would be nice, right? I'll take if someone's looking for a
Yeah, but
DJ.
that you gotta ways to go to rise up to
I
that
do have a
level.
ways
I
to
don't
go.
I don't doubt you, but it's
Well, we get
you
the
gotta,
reps in. We get the reps in now that Twitch and
yeah.
Discord, you can do all these things live. There's just
So
like a massive advantage to get the practice in here at my own pace as with the family, and then just
like, you
go do it when
are
you want to.
you do you I mean that didn't that was
I don't
more,
want it to be full time.
I'm
Like I
saying though, your sound, at least that track, like it had a little tribal thing going on, upbeat,
that's the
little
sound.
tribal, and it didn't it didn't. Do you want to be like a mainstream sounding producer, or you want to be like
Not
Like,
main. No, I don't feel like. I mean, if I get something, if Spinning Records reaches out to me one day and they say, "Hey, we
okay.
want to find something," sure. But that's not. I would never go out of my way to send something to Spinning Records. It really is a passion project. Meaning, I'm at least as far as I can see right now, I'm committed to Tool Room Records. I'm sending everything I make to them. They're the ones who taught me. It's where my whole network is. If they sign it, great. If not, self-release and just keep getting the music out there. Keep having fun with it. And at some point, I mean, one of the main reasons why I want to do this is because I do like getting massive crowds of people fired up and ready to go. So, the vision is to play in front of
Worst
100,000
case
people.
scenario, though, you could team up with another DJ producer and be like part hype man. You get out there on stage, and you see him sometimes, like at some of the clubs down here. They
That's what
got
I did.
their
It's what I did at
got
GooCon.
their
Yeah,
MC. Yeah,
yeah.
you're hyping people up.
I'm definitely good at that too.
Yeah,
So,
I know you're good at that.
anyways, yeah, it's all for fun because the other thing I've noticed with some DJs, artists, whatever, is when you do make it your full-time thing, it's not as fun anymore. And so I just want this to always be like a release, a yin to the yang, something that I can dip into and dip back.
I
You know,
don't. I mean, I don't. I think like the DJs, at least the ones that I'm more like crosstown rebel person, a little more underground sound, a little darker, a little deeper, but and I'm like I like techno. I like it all actually, but what I've
techno is good.
noticed is these are people that have basically, like, when they were younger, like they sort of knew this was their path, like, and they've 20 years later are still on that path, and some of them have kids and those things, but they've reached like a point of like where they have enough clout where they can be a little more selective, and they'll do their little month tour, and then they'll come back home and spend a few months at home, and maybe do a random gig here and there. But they're pretty locked into that to that path, right? And they find a way to get the other things to work, where it's like you're coming from the other side. But I think that can work too. It can almost be easier, like if once you get in, though. But that's
Well,
the thing, you might start having so much fun that you're like, you know this kid, this wife, like, not for me.
nah.
I'm going, I'm going all the way. You ride this rave train around the world
So hi,
for
Nikki. I know.
years.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Nikki's tuned in right now.
No, I'm just
No,
fucking with
I
you,
mean, I
Nikki.
definitely, I want, if he wants to, I guess it has to be his choice. But I'd love to see Micah,
Dude,
uh, pursue something similar one day too. It'd be a lot of fun.
have you played
Uh,
pickleball yet?
I still haven't, dude. I don't know how.
Once you do that, that whole DJ producer career goes out the window. I would say that for your kids' sake, your wife's sake, don't start playing pickleball.
It's
A
super
full-time
hot.
DJ gig's a better you will have more time for your family than if you started playing pickleball. Watch
Yeah,
out. That's the next big. I'm trying to figure out how to get in, like how to get into that space. I've got a few ideas I'm tossing around, but like ordinals is the future to crypto the same way pickleball is the future to everything.
nice.
You got to play. You be good. Long reach at the kitchen line. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep seeing it everywhere. I know LeBron bought like a pro team or something too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A lot of Gary V.
Gary
He's
V bought
got,
one.
yeah. So there's a few like pro pickleball leagues in the MLP Major League Pickleball. It's like a sort of like a team format. And that's the one that you have the sort of bigger names that own these different teams, and that's the most exciting format to watch, and probably the one that starts getting adoption. But I watch everything streams on YouTube usually, and then on the weekends like it'll show up on CBS or the tennis channel. But you watch the YouTube numbers, the people tuning in at one time, and a year ago maybe you had like 1,000 people watching the live stream, and now it's like up to 5,000-6,000 people at a time. So you're gonna
Wow.
The idea is that so many people are playing the sport
We're about to
that
raid. We're about to raid over, by the way.
we're
Well,
about to
not yet.
what?
Like we got like 10 seconds.
Before what?
Pickleball. We're raiding over where the stream is about to end. We're raiding into Miss Tui. So make sure you guys hit her with your goo ball emojis. hit her with your goo balls. But yeah, so we got to hang out soon. I told
Yeah.
Nikki I was hanging out with you today. She's like, "Oh, Sean, up stream's about to end. We'll see you guys in the next one."